Shall I say good morning or good afternoon to you guys? All right, it's good to be here in this such a lovely place. I live in Istanbul for more than 50 years, but I have been here. I'm here now for the first time. So I'm really happy to be here. So today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how we can utilize basic sciences in generating AI systems. So you may keep your questions till the end, or you may interrupt me at any time and ask the questions. There's no problem at all. Okay, so this is the outline of my presentation today. I'm going to talk about a little bit on intelligence and then intelligent behavior, and then try to define what artificial intelligence, or so-called AI, is all about, and then try to see the relationship between basic sciences and AI topics or methodologies. I'm going to actually conclude my presentation just afterwards. And it will be about 40-45 minutes presentation, and you may ask questions and then extend it to as much as you like. So I am here for your questions. So what is intelligence? Intelligence is, there is no standard definition. So everybody defines intelligence in a different way. For a psychologist, it is a different meaning. For a technologist, it's a different meaning. But the Webster Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, defines the intelligence as shown in the slide. Oxford Dictionary says, for example, it is the ability to learn, understand, and think. Webster's dictionary actually looks at it in another way and defines it as the ability to, or a capacity to learn and solve problems. In particular, the ability to solve novel problems, the ability to act rationally, and the ability to act like humans. That's the dictionary or literal definition of what intelligence is all about. But when we talk about the AI people, they define the intelligence is the ability to derive, process, and understand the knowledge. The term knowledge is very, very important, okay? As well as the ability to create cause and effect relationship. So you have an event where you want actually the computer to become as a human being. So you have to actually, establish the relationship between the causes and the effects of those causes. That's actually symptoms and so on and so forth. So, but everybody says that intelligence is all about generating intelligent behavior. So if we can understand what intelligent behavior is all about, that means we can understand what AI is going to be. Anyway, so intelligent behavior is learning from experience. Intelligent behavior is applying knowledge acquired from experience, years of experience. Intelligence is actually handling complex situations, solving problems, making decisions, being creative and imaginative, reacting quickly and correctly to the new situation, understanding visual images, and so on and so forth. If we can define a computer program or a machine which is capable of doing one or more of those, we can call it AI. It's easy. So what is the intelligent behavior? It's actually, technically speaking, problem solving. It is understanding, decision-making, reasoning, planning, controlling, diagnosing, tracking, and so on and so forth. So what we want to do really by generate an AI system, we generate a machine or a computer program which is capable of doing one or more of these, okay? So what is involved in intelligence is very clear. So if you are talking about intelligence, you are talking about ability to interact with the real world. So the computer should, similar to human being, be able to interact with the real world, and it's actually reasoning and planning. So the computer should be able to reason about what is going on around. So to do so, it has to understand what is going on around, and then make some plans, and it's actually learning and adaptation. So human being is always learning the new cases and also adapt himself or herself to the new situations. So what we want to do by AI is actually try to generate a computer program or a system to be able to learn and adapt itself into the new situations, because everything is changing. Things are not actually stable all the time. All right? I do talk about computer programs and systems. So there are computer programs which are called intelligent programs. There are machines, robots, for example. I do call them systems, all right? So if you are talking about only software, it's a computer program. If you are talking about software and hardware, it's a system, to understand my points, okay? So that's the definition of artificial intelligence. There is no uniformly or commonly agreed definition of artificial intelligence, but however, we can easily say that artificial intelligence is the study of programmed systems that can simulate, to some extent, simulate human activities such as perceiving, thinking, reasoning, learning, and acting. Having computers with the ability to mimic or duplicate the functions of the human brain, that is the actually main aim or objective of artificial intelligence or AI systems. Okay, what is behind this? When we look at this in more detail, we can see that the AI systems is actually science. It's a computer science aiming to generate algorithms that can bring the characteristics of human intelligence to the computers to produce solutions to the problems exhibiting intelligent behavior. What was intelligent behavior? Problem solving, decision making, reasoning, and planning, learning, and so on and so forth. So when we look at this intelligent behavior in terms of AI, so AI systems should be able to learn from experience. Again, it should reason about what is perceived or learned, recognize the patterns, solve complex problems, understand the language, and in fact, it actually creates a perspective to an event. So, but we do not talk about computer programming. If you are going to write down a computer program, where you actually generate a computer code, software code, by implementing a certain type of algorithm, this is computing, this is engineering. When we do talk about AI, we are go far behind engineering, and we do talk about cognitive modeling. So the computer should be able to handle any events which are not mathematically or algorithmically proved. Because if there is an algorithm which can solve a certain problem, by implementing it step by step, you always get the best solution. So why should I worry about AI? I can write a computer program, but most of the things in our life, there is no algorithm or mathematical model which can tell us the exact solutions. For example, if you would like to hire a person for a post, you are going to hire a manager for Turkish Academy of Science. As a manager, what is the algorithm for this? There is no algorithm. So what happens? The pupil sits down, makes an interview, and talks to the people, and then try to understand the capability of the person, whether it is good or bad for the position or post. But there is no standard algorithm which would tell us the best person for a certain position. So AI is something like this. We try to solve the problems when there is no mathematically proven algorithms exist. Okay? So artificial intelligence is all about thinking humanly, acting humanly, but it has to be rational. Thinking rationally and acting rationally. What I mean by thinking humanly? So it has to be something like a human. This is a Turing test. Alan Turing actually asks the question, how can I make sure that a computer or a machine or a robot is intelligent? How can we make sure that a robot is intelligent? He said actually, okay, what we can do a test. We can put a person to a room and the computer to another room. So how are we going to make sure that the comparison is good? That's actually, the answer is here. You see, it says we are going to actually do a test. You can do this test at home if you generate an AI program. So you're going to put your computer into a room alone, and you're going to put another person to a second room, and you're going to put a person who is going to ask questions to those to the third room. They are not going to see each other, but this person is going to ask the question, and the question will go to the machine and the human being as well. Human will respond to the question, machine will respond to the question. If the interrogator is not able to distinguish the machine from the man, that machine is intelligent. But the interrogator is free to ask any question in any way he or she likes. Any question, in any topic. Since 1950, there is no system which passed this test. So what was happened when there was no case to actually pass this test? What happened? They said, okay, we're going to give up generating a computer or a robot, a human-like robot. What we are going to do a computer program, intelligent program. If, for example, we can limit the questions or area for the interrogator to ask, if we can actually narrow the queries, then we can actually get some hints of generating an intelligence. For example, we can tell the interrogator to ask the questions on manufacturing. Again, the machine may not be able to be distinguished from a man. So we have to limit the manufacturing to production. We have to limit the production to quality control. We have to limit the quality control to control charts. So if we can limit or narrow the type of questions to be asked, then we can see that the computer is able to provide exactly the same answers a human is providing. So this actually created an intelligent computer program rather than a machine. That was actually the beginning of expert systems. I'm going to talk about it later on. Okay. Sorry. Thinking humanly, that's actually, we did talk about this, you know. It's actually, when we do solve a problem, we are using our cognitive abilities rather than implementing an algorithm step by step. So what we do, we are asking the computers to perform the cognitive operations like, you know, learning, planning, and so on and so forth, for what you call it, for performing the behaviors anyway. That's actually thinking humanly in a way, or acting humanly, or thinking rationally. So it has to be rational. This actually goes back to the Aristotle, because Aristotle has a methodology called right thinking. So if your thinking, your logic is not right, then your computer program is not going to be right. So we don't talk about AI then. We do talk about AI system which can perform the logical processes as human being doing. It's actually going back towards the law of thoughts. So it has to be rational, okay? So when we do talk about an AI system should have a goal to achieve. Why do we generate AI system? So we have to have an intention and a goal to ask the computer to do something for us. So that something is the goal. It has to be based on a goal when we do talk about AI. Here is some comparisons between natural intelligence and human intelligence. By the way, Gülzade Hanım, bu sunumu arkadaşlarla paylaşabilirsiniz sonradan. Benim sunumumu isteyen arkadaşlara. Whoever wants to have the copy of the presentation, Gülzade Hanım will arrange it. I have already left my presentation. It is free for TÜBA, or for all of you, all right? So you can enjoy reading it. If you have any questions regarding the presentation, or if you don't understand it later on, let's say after 3 months, you just drop me an email, I will respond. Sometimes 1 or more, 2 days later, but I will definitely respond it, okay? Because sometimes I'm traveling. For example, I was in Ankara for the last 3 days. Just came to Istanbul for you, okay? Okay, this is actually the comparison. So I'm not going to spend time here on this comparison, but it is important to understand that the knowledge may disappear when you have a human person. the human person can go somewhere else together with the knowledge. But if there is an AI system, it is in your computer. You just have a copy of it. It's easy. You don't spend time and so much money. Although you have to spend some money for developing AI system, once you developed it, it is free for your use anyway. So the focus is broader in human being, as I explained to you. Human can have any idea for anything at any time. But AI is a little narrow, so we use sensors instead of organs and so on and so forth. So this is actually the difference between traditional program and AI. Would you mind me taking my jacket off? All right? Because mikrofon burada kaldı değil mi? Onu alayım ben o zaman da. Ha, bir dakika. Yok, tamam, bunu takalım o zaman. Şöyle koyalım o zaman.
İnşallah çalışır.
Çalışır. Hiçbir sıkıntı olmaz. Terledim de biraz şey.
Tamam. Ya bu şöyle bir sorun var. Kablo oynadikçe zırtı yapıyor. Onun için şöyle takalım. Mümkün olduğu kadar az oynasın hocam.
Şuraya koy. Olmaz mı?
O da size ağırlık yapar. Şöyle
Peki.
durabilir hocam.
Tamam, peki. Ama yok, şimdi sen şuraya koy. Yıkama tak.
Öyle mi?
Onu şuraya tak. Mesela daha rahat olur. This is a new design. This is what AI, human intelligence is all about, right? We sorted the problem out. That's all right. It's okay for me. Is it all right for you? That is great, guys. No problem. This is the difference between traditional computer program and an AI program. There is a very, very interesting information here. Look at this. Traditional computers can never, ever make an error. Why? Because the algorithm is tested, well proved to be true, and then you implement the algorithm step by step. So at the end of the day, you always get the right answer. But in AI system, you actually utilize knowledge, not the data. When you utilize knowledge, if I develop an AI system, I use my own knowledge. But my own knowledge is good for me, but it's not good for you. It's not, maybe it is not right for you. So when my AI system that I developed works, I think it is true, but the results may in fact be erroneous anyway. So this is actually the difference. So instead of algorithms, we use heuristics. Why? Because if algorithm works, traditional computing can sort the problem out. So we have to use heuristics where we do not have a mathematical representation of the model which would tell us the best solution. So what we do when we talk about AI, we do talk about having a good enough solution, well accepted solution by those who developed and running the AI system. So when we look at this, another thing, adaptive behavior. So when we do talk about traditional computing, they all do the same thing. Whatever happens around, as long as the data didn't change, so you cannot change the data, but the knowledge can change. Something is a good knowledge today, maybe a bad knowledge tomorrow. I remember myself, for one of my friends said that he paid about 10,000 euro for a single knowledge. And he said, after 5 years, it had no meaning to him at all. But at that time, it was really good information or knowledge, a source of knowledge. Knowledge is actually meaningful data. Data is meaningless by itself. It has no meaning by itself. 3, that does not tell me anything. City, that does not mean anything. But Istanbul is a good city. Istanbul is a good city, is a knowledge. When I talk it and you hear it, this becomes an information to you. When you take it and use it, it becomes a knowledge to you. Data, information, and knowledge. So you have to understand the difference as well. So these are the areas where we can actually use artificial intelligence. We did talk about it. The baseline is knowledge. When we do talk about AI, we do talk about knowledge. But knowledge could be the domain knowledge, which could be actually gained through the years of experience. It could be the list of or set of examples. If you are a doctor, for example, you have a patient comes and you ask questions, and you prescribe a medicine or list of medicines. The patient goes, another patient comes, it goes, another patient comes, and then you have a list of examples that you have done. So you can actually find out the knowledge hidden behind the examples. Also, you have the solutions of the problems. You know the solution, you don't know the domain, you don't know anything, but you know the solution. List of solutions. There are some problems, there are, billions of solutions. For example, Turkish airline has a very, very big problem. They have 500 planes. They are actually, going all around the world, about 750 locations. They have about 5,000 pilots. They have about 10,000 air crew. The question is, which plane is going to from where to where, by which pilots and co-pilots, and by which air crew, or who are going to be the air crew in that air. This question cannot be sorted out without the help of AI. But with genetic algorithms, we do solve this problem in 30 minutes. Without genetic algorithm, what was a Turkish airline is doing? They were actually asking two pilots to sit down and then generate a solution for working about a year. This is not a joke. They were working about a year to find out which pilot is going to be driving which airplane next year. But they were creating a solution. There was no indication of whether the solution they created is good or bad. But in AI, we can actually measure the goodness of the solution as well by implementing genetic algorithms. So knowledge is important. So that actually brings another question. So we have to acquire the knowledge from the experts, from the books, from the domain specialists. And then we have to validate the knowledge and then put it into the knowledge base. I'm not saying database, I'm saying knowledge base. And then we are going to actually justify the results by actually implementing the knowledge through an inferencing mechanism. That's actually the brain of the AI. It uses the knowledge, generates new knowledges and new knowledge, and then solves the problems anyway, one way or another. So this is actually a Turing machine. We did talk about this. This is actually the state of the art. So we have so many, but now we know that computers are able to solve very complex phenomena, computers beating human in a chess game now. An expert system is actually controlling an spacecraft. It's really without any human being wandering around in this space now. Language translation in web pages are coming, so you don't need to know how to speak English. I can speak in Turkish. You have a computer or your mobile phone and you have an earring. The computer translates automatically my talk to your language. And then you understand it. You ask me a question in your own language, but my system tells me it in Turkish. So we actually talk our languages, but communicate without any problem. So digital armies is coming. Digital assistants, especially for health systems, are very popular nowadays. So AI is a multidisciplinary science. So how can we do this? So in order to achieve what I was describing to you up to now, I need to know mathematics. I need to know physics. I need to know logic. I need to know philosophy. I need to know psychology, neuroscience, linguistics. So without those sciences, it is not easy to generate the AI systems. Let me actually give you some examples how we really put this relation Relations. This is the logic and AI. Artificial intelligence is all about logic. Why? Because we generate heuristics. Heuristics are rules of thumbs. That means you have an event. For example, if you want to hire a person to become a manager, it has to be, not younger than 20 years old. Who said that? This is our belief. This is what we believe that is to be good. But this is a rule. There is a logic there. So we implement logic because we have actually, theory of logic, proof, geometry theorem prover, or full logical reasoning systems, which has been, these were the people who actually were the pioneers in AI systems, generated those systems. This is the logic that you see in high school. If A is true, B is true, then C is true. A and B, one of them is not true, C is not true. That's the logic. That's what we do in AI. We totally implement this in order to find out the proposition logic, okay? Today is Sunday. It is raining. These are all the propositions. You may say, for example, if it is raining, is represented by, or if it is not represented by this sign. This is a negation sign for the computer to understand that it's not raining, okay? You see, here is an example. How can we get the computer to understand the knowledge? Easy. You see, he is either at home or at the office. He is not at home. If he is not at home, then he is at the office. You see? He says he is either at home or at the office. There's a fact, he is not at home. So he is either at home or office, but he is not at home because this is not. And then, therefore, this sign is indicating therefore. Therefore, he is at the office. That's how computer understands. Ali is the mother of, father of Aisha. Ahmed is the brother of Aisha. Therefore, Ali is the father of Ahmed. That's Aini. That's the predicate calculus, by the way. So, an argument is valid if no counterexample is found. If there is a counterexample, then we don't call it true. This is traditional logic. You learned this in the high school, right? So I don't need to spend time. Like this is, you see, this is how we actually do predicate logic. Linda is Mary's mother. Mary is the aunt's mother. So therefore, Linda is the grandmother of ants. How can we represent this to the logic? You see, it's easy. There is a relationship between Linda and Mary. That's called motherhood. That means Linda is the mother of Mary. Mary is the mother of Anne. So grandmother relation is indicating that the Linda is the grandmother of the Anne anyway. So this is something like this, how we represent it in AI. So John works for Anne's sister. That's actually represented like this. John works for sister of Anne. John's father loves the aunt's sister, and so on and so forth. You can generate any system you like. Okay, sometimes you take for all, or this is actually for all. That means all restaurants are selling foods. The computer will now, then you talk about restaurants, the computer will know that there is a food being marketed there. There exist. This is actually, some of them are doing this. Some schools are teaching in English. So we use this notation to represent that some of the schools are representing English anyway. So these, all men are mortals. Frogs are green. These are all the examples of how we generate, how we use the logic or logical representation for AI systems anyway. Another one is rule-based. So what we do, we generate rules. Okay, if A, then B. If A is true, then B is true. If B is not right, then A could be true. But if A is true, then B is true. This is called a rule. These rules are being utilized to generate rule-based systems for symbolic reasoning. Okay, let me ask you a question. How can you distinguish an apple from an orange? You tell me. If I give you two fruits. One of them is apple, the other one is orange. How can you tell me which one is orange, which one is apple? Texture could be the same. Shape is more or less the same. Color could be the same. Sorry? Taste, but the computer cannot eat. No, you have to concentrate on the stick of fruit. When you have an orange, it is a full circle. When you have an apple, you see apple has got some hole. So that area, when it comes to the light, is dark. If the stick of the stick area of the fruit is dark, it is apple. Because the color could be the same. I have, in my garden, I have an apple, or it looks like an orange. But no orange has got a hole, you see? Because it is dark when the light comes in there. So that's actually how they distinguish it in a fruit company. I know it from there, yeah. Automatic system. Then it says, if the area is dark, it is apple. It's very simple. So what I used a symbol called dark to distinguish apple from the orange, okay? So there are some methodologies, very, very popular, industrialized and popularized or commercialized. Expert system is one of them. Expert system is a system to generate, is a computer system, AI system, which can solve the problems in the same way as human experts would do when they face the same problem. If there is an expert, if there is a problem, expert solves the problem. The way that the expert solves the problem can be taught to the, or transferred to the computer, and it becomes an expert system. So to have an expert system, so you have to have at least an expert to give the domain expert. Not single one, but at least one. Without a single expert, we don't call the program as AI program because we are not sure whether the knowledge is right or wrong. So there is a knowledge engineer to acquire the knowledge from the expert and put the knowledge into a certain format so that the computer can understand it. This is called knowledge representation. And knowledge is being put into the knowledge base. There is a brain of the expert system. This is the inference engine. And then user asks a question from here to the, through the user interface to the inference engine. Inference engine checks out the knowledge base, finds out the solution or the answer to the question, and presents it to the user. So it can explain why it made that recommendation or answer. It can explain what is the reason behind making that decision. Why not a certain decision is not given. It can explain this. There is an explanation capability of expert system, which is very popular. In 1990s, it becomes a commercial product anymore. And as I told you, there is an expert system which controls the whole aircraft, spacecraft at the sky right now without any human intervention. AI and mathematics. I think logic is good enough to give. When we do actually represent here the inference engine, here the inference engine is totally using the logic that we taught in high schools. If A is true, then B is true. If A is implying B, if B is implying C, if A is true, then C is true. You see, exactly the same methodology works here. But it really solves and generates an excellent systems, very valuable systems. Okay, so mathematics. There are so many areas where we use mathematical expressions and formulas in AI. Okay, set theory, logical operators, algebra, matrix, for example, in machine learning, we do really utilize weight matrices. So we have so many areas where we use hyperplane, linear and nonlinear functions, slope, curves, parabols, circles, and so on and so forth. They are actually helping us to develop learning, especially the learning algorithms, they have a very, some of them are very simple, but there is a very powerful mathematical proof theory behind those algorithms. We don't have to have an algorithm for the domain, but we have to have an algorithm to learn the domain without the domain algorithms. Here is one of the examples. You see, this is a parabole. So if we are solving any problem in this world, we want to make the error minimum. This is the area where the error is minimum. This is the error graph. So how can we reach to this area if we start anywhere? So we have to actually go towards this area by taking the derivative, gradient descent rule. That's mathematics, right? So another one is fuzzy logic. So we can teach the computers words now. This is for sure. For example, the temperature of this room is to be normal. If I say it is to be normal, what degree or should it be? To you, for example, it could be 18 degrees. To me, it could be 20 degrees. For another friend, it could be 19 degrees, right? The normal means something different to anybody, everybody. So, but we can get the computer to understand what normal is all about now. It's easy. That's called fuzzy logic. Instead of traditional logic that we learned as high school, it's actually either or. We have now more or less. I have a terrible headache. When I say I have a terrible headache, the terrible is being understood by the computer by using this fuzzy logic. There is a membership function 0 and 1, between 0 and 1. 0 means terrible, but no harm to me. 1 means terrible, but I cannot even stay awake, It's so much. 0.5 is terrible to some extent. So that's actually, again, that's the expertise, but we define those numbers by the consensus of some experts of the domain, but this is easy to understand. So we can ask the computer to solve our problems in the same way as we are living in real world. You have an exam, you go out. How was the exam? Oh my God, it was so much difficult. I'm going to kill the lecturer because I'm going to kill him, My students are always saying this to me. I'm going to kill him because he asked me a question. Very terrible, very difficult questions. But when I read the papers, I see some papers having 100. There are some papers having 0, but there are some papers having 100. That means it is difficult to some people, it's not difficult to some other people. So if you work, nothing is difficult for you though. Okay, but this is fuzzy theory. AI and control theory. Oh my God, this is another area where we actually get the most benefit of generating systems, especially if you want to, for example, to do unmanned vehicles, driverless car, for example. İHA, ne diyorlar? UAV, unmanned air vehicles, with or without weapons. So we use actually the control theory for that. So we generate the autonomous systems for out of that. Öyle zaten bitmek üzere. Çok az kaldı. Bitireceğim. Thank you very much for reminding. She tells me to go away. Should I go away? No, I have to continue. All right. So probability and statistics. Without probability and statistics, we cannot devise AI system for diagnosis, for example. Preventive maintenance. You know what we do? We generate a computer system and we put it aside to the machine and then read the data from the machine. The AI system tells us, this machine is going to will be broken down in 2 days' time. How? It makes some statistical analysis behind and then defines what is going to happen. When we do talk about learning, we do talk about the predictions, for example. I can generate a computer program which would tell me what would be the dollar rate in a week time or so. So we use some predictions and some of the statistics. Okay, neuroscience. You see, this is human being. This is the human neuron. This is the biological neuron. what we do, we actually imitate the biological neuron, quite exactly the same actually, and generate a machine learning system. You see, there are so many branches coming in to the neuron. There are so many branches coming to the biological neuron, artificial neuron. We call it in engineering process elements. So process element, there are so many information coming in. Each information has got a weight value and effect on this nucleus. Here actually we define the weight values to represent that. And the information is collected and processed and sent out. Here is the information is collected, processed and sent out through the axon. So there are so many inputs coming in, one output is going out. That's actually, you know, we get this information from neuroscience. So this is actually an artificial neural network, my life. I enjoy generating AI systems. I can tell you within 2-3 hours time, we can generate a good learning system. If you know MATLAB, you know, I asked my students to go to the hospital last year, final year students. They went to the hospital, they actually take images from the hospital and try to see if the baby has a dysplasia in hip, you know, hip dysplasia. Well, 99% learning and 99% accuracy for testing. That means for the images which is not shown to the network anyway. So psychology. So we can have an AI team to work together. If you are going to generate a team of people or team of systems, machines and robots to work together, we did actually generate a robot team for nursing in a hospital. It was a very nice project. There were 3 robots. One of them were walking and bringing the medicine to the nurse, but while working, he was seeing something, you know, lying behind, calling the other robot to come and look at it. It was a good, you know, if they don't get on well with, then you have a difficulty, all right? So intelligent agents are autonomous systems. They can use any kind of artificial intelligence math. They can prioritize the event. They can focus their attentions, and they can do anything like walking, drinking, you know, explaining, hatta teaching, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there are some autonomous systems. This is actually generating machines with hardware with intelligent agent capabilities. That actually comes out of, I think it was out of 2020. Now we are going to see quite a lot of these multi-agent systems, human-like robots, and so on and so forth. This is artificial life. I have to say this before I go, right? So you look at this. This is genetic algorithms. A mother and father has some characteristics, you know, genetically transferred to the kids. And they have their characteristics genetically transferred, inherited to their kids. So if we have a problem like the one that Turkiye has, so we generate a solution, good or bad. This is mother. We generate another solution, good or bad. That's the father. We bring them together. We get them married, and then we devised 2 killed children, and we have now 4 solutions. We select the better ones, and then continue bringing them together, get them married, and then we do this over and over again, and then find out the solution. Here, you can see this is interesting. The bees. You know how bees are working in real life? There is a queen. Queen is sending the some of the bees to the area. They come back and they turn. They make a dance. And the shape of the dance is indicating the goodness of the quality of the flower. The duration of the dance indicates the distance. That's actually, we actually use this to solve out resource constraint problems. This is ants. Ants are very much used. Ants are finding out always the shortest path. How did they do that? We analyze them and generate ant colony optimization algorithms to tell us the shortest path. If we are sending, for example, so many lorries to the whole Turkey, they are going to go to the 81 cities, one after the other. Which one is the best route? So ant colony optimization tells us. There's a swarm intelligence as well. So linguistic. So natural language processing is very popular. So as I told you now, the computers will be able to understand your language and then translate it to any language, and you will be able to see that. As a conclusion, with the help of basic sciences, machines now can make comments, solve problems, establish relationships, learn, produce solutions, understand the words, climb stairs, play balls, answer questions, read and make sense of, make any sense, or generate, teach texts, detect and prioritize and focus their attention, and so on and so forth. Now we do those. There is no problem. We can do those. And I am sure we will be doing those as well. We will be having the robots talking to each other. We will be having the robots serving the same purpose, socializing, helping each other, teaching others. We are going to have robots being able to do research. We are going to have the robots to perform multiple tasks, taking part in management levels. Now, I know that there is a robot called Vital. He is the decision board member in one of the companies in Hong Kong. You know what they do? They are trying to convince the robot in order to take a unanimous decision. And they say it is really hard because he is asking for a good reason to support a decision. Rational behind the decisions to be firm enough for the robot to make decision. And the robot is good because it's not getting tired. It's not asking food. It's not asking money. There is no salary, you know. But it is, I think this is going to be increasing. So the computers will be creating personalized education and training systems. I know, for example, synthetic holidays are coming. So you're not going to Antalya to go to sea. You are going into the other room in your house, going into a simulator. When you lay down, you see yourself in a beach in Antalya. There's the sun coming. Everything is, you enjoy the life over there. The life is coming, and so on and so forth. My friends, don't worry about, don't be afraid of the robots, and try to make friends with robots. And I'm sure you will have to be dealing with robots in your life. I am a bit old to see this, but in 10, 20 years' time, the robots will be our friends. Get ready for that. Thank you for listening.